वसुदेव सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानंदम वंदे कृष्णं जगद्गुरुम. Namaskar. Today, on the account of 5117th birth anniversary of Sri Sri Nimbarka Charge, it's really immense pleasure for me to say something on this auspicious occasion. First of all, I pay my humble tribute to Swami Nimbarka Charge and express my cordial gratitude to all of you. The world today is passing a very difficult period, feeling insecurity, dowry system, divorce, molestation, injustice, animal sacrifice, robbery, terrorism, etc. are really a serious value crisis problems being faced by the present human society. In our dynamic world, every day, every month, and every year, some new invention are coming up in many forms, especially in technology and computer science, which may be the means for human progress. Even in computer science, one wants to progress in terms of money matters. This type of thinking will make human being attached to material value rather than spiritual value. At such a period, one feels the need to turn towards teaching of Nimbarka charge so as to discover true serenity. His ideas and ideals have great relevance for solving to the current problems challenging India and the world today. Nimbark's philosophy is known as Dvaita Dvaitavad, duality and non-duality simultaneously. It believes in three category of existence, that is Chit, Jeev or individual soul, Achit, Jagat or the world, and Ishwar, Brahman or a personal God. Chit and Achit are different from Ishwar as they have attributes and capacities which are different from those of Ishwar. Ishwar is independent and exists by himself, but Chit and Achit depend on him for their existence. At the same time, they are different from him because they cannot exist independently of him. Thus, Nimbark emphasized both difference and non-difference, just like between the sun and its rays. Thus, according to him, there are three entities: Brahman or Ishwar, which is the controller, the Chit, which is the enjoyer, and the Achit, which is the object enjoyed. Nimbark identifies the Supreme Brahman with Krishna, who is endowed with all auspicious qualities and is free from ignorance, passing attachment, and egoism. He has four forms of being, namely Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Vasudev, and Anirudh. He is free from all defects. He has divine body and is full of love, beauty, charm, and sweetness. The system of Nimbark is akin to that of Ramanuj. Still, it has been given a separate place and ranked as one of the five main schools of the Vedanta because of its new approach to the fundamental philosophical question of the relation between the one and many. God and the Word, Nimbark insists on taking both Ved and difference and Aved or non-difference between the two to be equally and simultaneously true. This may sound self-contradiction or contradictory, but Nimbark brief yet entirely logical explanation dispels the doubts. He takes his stand on the cause effect or whole part relation. The cause effect relation is neither a relation of pure The clays are the effect, for example, has a peculiar nature and form as a jar and special functions like fetching water, etc., not found in the lump of clay, the cause as such. Again, the effect is also non-different from the cause because it being a modification of the cause is nothing but cause. The clay jar, for example, is non-different from the lump of clay, for it is, after all, nothing but clay and depend on it for its very origin and existence. Thus, the cause effect or whole part relation is one of the identities in difference. In the same manner, the universe of soul and matter is different from Brahman, as its attribute, bis, impurity, grossness, finitude, etc., and activities, with selfish work, etc., are quite different from the attributes, with purity, omnipresence, and activities, with creation, etc., of Brahman. But the universe is also non-different of Brahman, or because they are modification Brahman of in essence. Again, Brahman is different from the universe because it is but one among its infinite powers and elements, and Brahman as a whole is not exhausted in a single word. Brahman is no less non-different from the world. If we understand difference in this sense of transcendent and immanence, no contradiction will be involved in taking both of them to be equally real, natural, and compatible. Here, non difference does not mean absolute identity like the complete merging of a drop of water into the ocean. It simply implies sameness of essence and immanence, Brahman, in the world. And difference does not mean absolute separateness or distinction like that between a man and a table, but it only implies the difference of forms, attribute, and activities, the transcendence of Brahman over the world. This is Nimbark's famous Swabhavik Veda Vedbad, or doctrine of natural difference and non-difference between God and the universe. Thus, according to Dr. Tadha Krishna, from the philosophical standpoint, Nimbar can well claim to have contributed something new to the history of philosophical speculation as regard the vexed question to the relation between the one and man. In some of the respect to Nimbark's solution regards the fundamental problems of philosophy are really praiseworthy, especially his doctrine of power, Shaktibad, which enables him to unrail many a knotty and seemingly insoluble problems of philosophy. Nimbar philosophy teaches us to perform seva, to provide seva, one has to be grounded in the reality that the world is under the protection of Lord Krishna. So, applying Nimbar philosophy in daily life is simple. One has to seek to be of service and perform this service as seva. In this way, one becomes of use to people around us. Further, the service is performed knowing that it is merely divine play or maya. The all powerful Lord Krishna could take care of whatever we are trying to do. We are doing seva merely to be worthy of His grace. Further, Lord Krishna, who is all powerful, and by His grace, we are going to be protected. Therefore, after doing our work with dedication, we can sleep in peace that we have taken refuge in one who is the very personification of tenderness, beauty, and bliss. There can be a lot of work, a lot of service or seva, but no stress. Daily life can become filled with bliss in this manner. Teaching of Nimbarka charge remind the modern man in distress that unless he accept and realize spirituality as the core dimension of his personality, he would not be able to live a peaceful life in spite of his tremendous material progress. It is futile to try to find peace outside if we have not found it inside. According to Dvaita philosophy, God conveyed his message through his messenger that we are all his own creation. Does this message not enjoin us to live in unity, peace, and harmony? We all are equal in his eyes. Why should we then create difference and manipulate things to act against God's design? The time has arrived when we should come close to each other for realizing the one modern world dream. Achar Nimbar points out that the man is inseparable from nature and whatever man inflicts on nature, he inflicts on himself. Peace and harmony in the modern world will come through brotherhood and love. With true enlightenment, a person rises above the level of boundaries of race, religion, language, or nation. Unless our mental horizon and perception is broad, we cannot achieve success in life. Due to our ignorance, we are trying to establish the superiority of our own race and religion. The cause of modern world dangerous situation is the ignorance of mankind. It is by understanding the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbaka that would peace can be assured in this modern world. All of us have forgotten our ethos, culture, concept of morality and ethics, and the good tradition. The time tested human values and spirit is missing. Once the value system is missing, then there is no difference between the human beings and the other creatures. It is highly desirable to change the mindset of the people so as to inculcate the time tested human values. Remember, we are an integral part of God. Dvaita philosophy emphasizes moral and spiritual values of love, mercy, compassion, forgiveness, good conduct, and the correct attitude to solve modern and ultra modern problems. The power of spirituality is every human being is endless. This can be understood if every one of us do feel and act with the spirit of divinity already within every one of us. Then humanism would be certainly find a newer avenue of manifestation of God in every one of us. Let the first lesson of spirituality be human. Let each of us ceaselessly think, act, and sacrifice for the good of others. Only then will a humanistic and spiritual society be a reality. The idea of world unity is the crying need of the modern world. Hence, we speak of world unity, we must find out the philosophical base for it. Then the idea may be worked out into a reality. Philosophers of India had always longed to know about the entire creation and also about one's own self, who I am, what I am, where from I came, and to whom or where shall I go back. In this ceaseless quest to know the destiny of man, he at long last arrived at the conclusion that Brahman was the source of his origin, and it was he who would embrace him on completion of the iron round destiny. It has expressed in Dvaita Dvaitavad that the soul is infinite. He could see the inseparable linkage between the human soul and the universal soul. All are equal and same as all of them share divinity. There is no inequality among them because God does not discriminate against any person. This truly global vision can form the foundation for peaceful coexistence of all in the globe. Culture of peace in the world can be achieved and maintained by the renouncing negative ideas of anger, pride, hypocrisy, and greed. Propagate nonviolence as means to resolve any dispute, conflict, or all sort of issues, differences arising out of caste, creed, race, religion, and the boundaries of nation by mutual discussions, deliberations, and dialogues in the society following by the teaching of Sri Sri Nimbarka Charge. The Vedantic tradition remains strong throughout India today. In modern times, it still remains as the most widely well regarded doctrine due to this lucidity and logic. Gradually, the common people of the society found the ultimate room of their future life in its truth, and they were coming forward to adore it. In the modern phase of this Vedanta, some refined, celebrated scholars, sages, and reformers became entangled with its depth, veracity. They worked for spreading its truth throughout India and the Western world in solving the mass problems. Contributors from abroad also found out humanism and impartiality in Dvaita philosophy and tried to bring a mass emergent in society by offering an inspired and concrete interpretation of this Vedanta. To adapt the teaching of Dvaitavad to the modern period, the scholars deliberated on it and wrote many articles, commentaries, clarifications, notes, etc., based on it for upliftment of the society. Keeping its ethical aspect integral, they brought some important modification for its easy understanding and thus familiarized this system to the common people to make it more applicable to the needs of the modern world. Some of the great sons, philosophers, literatures, reformers, and educationists of this system contributed a great deal for peaceful and happy life on the earth. Thank you. Thank you all.